Hi, I'm Debbie with Nixene Publishing, coming to you from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and I am with Adrian Nixon again today, talking about graphene. And Adrian comes to us from Yorkshire, England. Adrian, how are you today?
I'm really good, Debbie. How are you?
I'm good. So today we have a topic that I think you'll really find interesting. This is how to manufacture graphene powders and dispersions. There are different ways of manufacturing graphene. So can you tell us about that, Adrian?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea if we just step back a minute and think about the different forms of graphene. So you'll remember that there is what's called CVD graphene, chemical vapor deposition graphene, and that is a one atom thick layer of graphene on copper foil. This one was made by Groltex in California. And you'll just have to trust us that there is actually one atom thick graphene layer on there. We're not going to talk about that today. What we are talking about is how to make this stuff. So this is graphene powder, and we'll talk about how to make exactly that one shortly. And then this is what a dispersion is. It's not a solution. So this is particles of solid that are suspended in a liquid, and there are all sorts of different liquids, and you get these sort of black liquid suspensions. I made this one, so that's just graphene nanoplates. So it's how we make those and looking at the different ways of doing it. Now, Debbie, I believe you were talking to Ray Gibbs the other day, and he's head of innovation and commercialization, I think, at the Geek in Manchester, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. We were talking about all of the interesting things that are happening with the commercialization of graphene.
And originally he was saying that it was really hard to make graphene, wasn't it? But now the number of methods has opened out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different ways to make it that you have to know the right formula for your particular need. So it's not just dump a bunch of powder and stir it in. You have to figure out what's customized for what.
And that is a really good point to start off with, because what we're going to show you now is an overview of all the different methods. But underneath all that, there is a lot of complexity, and you can tailor the individual types of graphene and the types of dispersion and tinker around with the chemistry quite a lot to get lots of different variants. But what we're going to show the viewers today is the major ways of making those powders and dispersions. So this is how to make graphene powders and dispersions. So we start off with the obvious one, which is making graphene from graphite. And this is the exfoliation process. So you'll remember, Debbie, we talked about graphene is to graphite as a card is to a deck of cards.
Yes.
And all exfoliation means is peeling those cards apart. So you get one or a few layers stuck together. That's what exfoliation means. And there are different ways of doing it. So you can separate them mechanically, you can do it chemically, and you can do it electrically. And interestingly, you'll remember that sample I showed you a few minutes ago. That was done by the electrical process. And what you end up with there are graphene powders and dispersions. The graphic there just shows a pile of powder. These have now scaled up to the point now where graphene can be made by the ton. And so it's available in consistent, high quality, industrial quantities for manufacture. And that's only sort of really got going in the last couple of years, escalating up to reliable industrial supply. Another method is looking at taking crop waste. So you take waste crops, wood, food, that sort of thing, and high temperature pyrolysis is a method really of just heating it to extremely high temperatures, well over 1,000 degrees centigrade. And continuous processes have been developed to do this. And again, they will produce ton scale of graphene. So we know of companies that can supply hundreds of tons of this stuff already. Interestingly, the sample I showed you on screen in that little vial, that was made by this method. And then there is the method that we talked about in a previous video, Debbie, because you interviewed James Tour about this, flash graphene.
Yes, that's the most fascinating method to me, only because you can reduce anything with carbon in it.
Exactly, yes. And all you do is you take your waste, carbon, which is plastic or wood or food or anything. I think, did he actually use this process with dog poo?
I don't know if that was him or not, but I do remember that was part of of one of the discussions.
Actually did. I'll check up on that one later. But basically, anything that contains carbon, you can zap it with an electric pulse and you get graphene out the other end. Now, at the minute, that particular one, that flash graphene, is just on a laboratory scale, but there are lots of people scaling up the process. And I think you're probably talking to some of these people as well, Debbie.
Yes, actually, I saw that Universal Matter is the spin-off company that's from James Tour's research, and they're now located in Toronto, getting ready to scale up. So very exciting.
Yeah, we'll have to interview them and find out a little bit more detail what they're doing. We'll leave them alone for a minute while they develop the process. Great. So that is really how to make graphene. You end up with graphene powders like this. This is the biochar one. And interestingly, these ones made from biochar, they're carbon negative. So they're actually consuming more carbon than they actually take in all the energy of processing and transporting it about. So quite environmentally friendly stuff. You can zap it with electricity and you can get liquids. And then you can play tunes on the chemistry to have the powders or the liquid in a form which will work with polymers, cement, concrete, all those sorts of things. And it gets really complicated underneath that. But hopefully we've given the viewers an idea about how you go from just carbon to graphene.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that we have the original ways of using graphite that's still being used. I mean, that's not something that's obsolete at all. It's still, very important. And then with the biochar, that's such a green process.
Yeah.
Able to turn everything around. So carbon negative is fantastic.
Yeah. So we're not going to run out of graphene.
Yeah, and we're not going to run out of need for it either, because if we're not using it here on Earth, after we scale everything up here on Earth and put graphene into things that will help everything, we're going to be going up into space, and we need it.
Which is your favorite subject, Debbie.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed to Nixene Publishing's videos yet, be sure to click the subscribe button. You will get the videos before they come out on social media. And we're looking for you to check out our website and take a look at the Nixene Journal, where you can have this delivered, this wonderful research delivered to your desktop or your mobile phone every month.
And thank you for watching.